as you probably know with Hearthstone, our cards have mana cost. It goes from 0. Well, normally
mana cost? Weird.
In my
Weird.
card
I don't know
game,
what that is.
So in Hearthstone, it goes from 0 to 10. Normally, there's some exceptions, of course. I've showed you some cards that are absolutely ridiculous. For this specific video, I will let you know they all are from 0 to 10. Your job today, rather than just tell me whether or not you think the card is good, you're gonna guess the mana cost of the card.
Oh, come on. This is so lame. We don't know costs in our game.
Which is why I think this is so good for you.
This is good for me exactly just because of the fact that like I play Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I feel like CGB would be so good at this because like he plays Magic, but me, I'm gonna get fucking cooked in this video. Man.
We'll see how well you do. If it does well and we think this is a good video at the end of it, I'll do a CGB. But we'll see. I think you've done enough videos with Hearthstone that you could probably make some really good guess.
Yeah,
If I've shown you any of these cards, let me know. I mean, you probably won't even remember. Let's be honest here. So
wow. I'm not you. I'm sorry.
Well, let's see. I mean, I said this to CGB. I might do it with you at some point too. Is I might go to the very first video we did together, show you the exact same.
Just show you the exact same cards. Yeah, I thought about doing that with both of you. Yeah, because we've done so many videos. Maybe we have to do that for like the 1 year anniversary of us doing these videos.
Okay, here is your first card.
Oh boy. Angry Chicken. Oh, look at this. You've removed the mana cost for me.
I photoshopped this. That's why I had to delay this recording. I had to go through to make sure that you couldn't see the mana cost.
How long did that take you? Anyway.
Like 10 minutes.
Angry Chicken is a 1/1 and has +5 attack while damaged. Great.
What do you think of the card? You think he's good?
Seems kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. Like you have to find a way to give this thing health, and then you have to find a way to damage it, and then it gets the 5 attack. And maybe with like Priest, you can do something like that. That's like the only thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
I want to say this should cost like 1, but that's probably like too generous. I want to say like, God.
I can already.
There's no way it costs 1. There's no way it costs 1.
I can already feel the Hearthstone people seething watching this.
Oh, sure. Well, that's the point, right? Is to piss off your community. That's why we do these. I mean, it's not 1. I doubt it's 0. There's no way it's 0. I guess
why do you think it's not 1?
Be 0. I don't think it's. I just don't. I feel okay, especially if it's a classic card. I feel like they would put some like guardrails on it to be like, in case there's something they overlooked when designing the classic set. They want it to have like some cost so that it's not like ridiculous, but I could be wrong. Like I feel like typically they start out more conservative though. So I feel like it would be like a bit more overcosted in case this became like, you know, game breaking.
Okay. That's going under the assumption that you think this card's good. Or it can be good.
Well, I don't think it's good.
Okay.
Like, in my mind, this card should cost like 0, to be honest, and it'd probably be fine. But I don't think it costs 0. I also don't think it costs 1. I think it might cost 2. I'm gonna go with 2. I feel like this is like a 2 cost card.
Okay. This card's 1 mana. This is just.
It is 1 mana. Okay.
It is just a 1 mana 1. There is a card in Hearthstone called Wisp from Classic, which is a 0 mana 1/1. So that is like the baseline for Classic. Everything that's a 1/1 usually has some kind of effect. You're entirely right, by the way. This card is like bad. I don't think in Classic it saw any play. It is just so much like it seems.
There's so much you have to jump through.
Yeah, and it seems like +5 damage would be really, really cool, but it's not. But yeah,
if it had like maybe 2 health, that at least instead of 1, because it just dies. Like
I think if it was a 1 mana 1/2 with this text, then there's actually like a conversation to be had, because
I think so.
Then Warrior has Cool Taskmaster, which was like a 2 mana 2/2 deal 1 damage and give a minion +2 attack. So like that curve, Angry Chicken to that would go crazy. Okay.
Did you send me the non-photoshopped one?
All right, it's fine. I have so many cards here.
Please keep that in. Please keep that in.
You can have here. I'll give you the freebie. How much mana cost is this one? Smile.
Imprisoned Vile Feed. It is a dormant for 2 turns with Rush, and it's a 3/5. I think I'm gonna go with 2 mana for that.
Okay, here's the next one. All right, here you go. Pocket.
This is the problem when we have stuff that has like, when we have to like conceal information, because like I think I've done that to you once too, where I messed up. Anyway, Archmage Vargoth. At the end of your turn, cast a spell you've cast this turn. Targets are random. That's kind of a cool card.
Very cool card. 2019, by the way.
2019, so it's relatively quotes relatively new.
It's 5 years old. 6 years old.
New-ish.
Wish it was.
It's cool because you could just cast 1 spell and guarantee it recasts. So that's like a neat little thing you can do. But if you cast like a bunch of spells, then it's random, but like if they're all good, maybe you just don't care. But I like the fact that you can just choose basically, and it's like, all right, I cast like a draw 2, and then you get to draw 2 more for free. Like that's cool. Mana cost? What would I pay for something like that? 2/6. 2/6. I don't know if you showed me many 2/6s before.
They don't print that stat line very often. You're right. They don't.
Do they not? Interesting. I'm kind of in between like 3 and 4 for this. I want to say like 4. Like 4 mana, 2/6 just sounds kind of clean. It's like all even numbers. And then it has like a good ability. I think like, and then like at that point you might want to consider playing it. I feel like 5 might be too expensive, even though it is a very strong effect. But I feel like if you're trying to push it, 4. If it's like they're too scared, maybe 5. But I think I'm gonna go with 4. This seems like a 4 cost to me.
Okay, you're actually correct. It's 4 mana. It's 4 mana 2/6.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Remember when I told you on your video, like literally like 30 minutes ago, there's a card called Oaken Summons, which is like 4 mana.
Yes.
You could, if you high roll off this card and you cast it again, you got so much armor and you got 2 minions.
Oh, that's cool. That's sick.
This card was very, very good.
Oh, good. You sent me the right one this time.
Hey, I did it last
Harbinger. Harbinger Celestia. This is cool art. Stealth, and after your opponent plays a minion, become a copy of it, and it's a 5/6. So stealth, if I recall, is like you can't target it, or like you can board wipe AoE it, but you can't like target it or like attack it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and that's permanent. It's not like it lasts for stealth doesn't last for a turn, right? It's like until you like attack with it, that's when you can do something, right?
Unless it says like stealth for a turn, it's infinite.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always making sure mechanically its stealth is just permanent, because I think you showed me a card that has like stealth for 1 turn. So that's cool. So like basically you can keep this out until you find something that you want to copy, and then you're able to... Hold on.
This says after your opponent plays a minion. So you play this, the first minion your opponent plays, that's what it becomes.
Oh, it doesn't like keep... I think there's a card that I remember, like Shifter something.
Shifter Xeris will like swap between your hand, like in your hand.
I think I'm conflating that. I think I'm thinking that's what this does. Okay, so it's basically when your opponent plays the first thing, it copies it. Okay, that's way worse. That's way worse.
The 5/6 though.
So I mean, if it costs like 2.
What if they have no minions and then you just smack them with the 5/6?
You could make that argument for any card at that point.
You're right.
Couldn't you?
Sure. No, you're not wrong.
I guess like you play this to like deter your opponent from playing like a big game warping effect type of minion, because it's like you sort of like you go to this like stalemate where it's like, okay, if you play this thing, then I get it too, and maybe that's like good for you, or it like prevents them from playing their other like their big like payoff thing. But I feel like that's so narrow, because especially too, because they could just play like they could play an angry chicken, and then she becomes an angry chicken. That's terrible. It's awful. Okay, what would this cost?
I tried to pick cards that I think like the stat line and the effect would be like really ambiguous. I tried to like like I wouldn't want to pick like a 2 mana 3/2 because I think that's too obvious.
I think legends are also particularly hard because again, since they fall in the category of like broken or awful, that like also throws it off. Because if this card is really good, maybe it has a lower cost than I might think, but if it's really bad, it might have a higher cost than I might think, right? So there's a lot of like I'm okay. So I'm kind of in like the I think I'm thinking like 6.
Okay,
that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like 5 might be a bit too pushed for a 5/6. But maybe, I'm trying to think, God, this is so bad. I'm thinking like the Yeti. The Yeti was a 4/5, right?
Yep. Yeti was a 4/5.
Yeah. So like 4 mana. So I guess 5 mana 5/6 isn't crazy to think. And if it's a legend, if they want to try to make it good, like maybe, I feel like I said, legends are kind of like pushed a bit, even if they're bad. I feel like just statistically, they're just kind of like, because they want them to be flashy. So maybe it's a 5, but maybe they thought this effect is too good, so it's a 6. If this is a 7, that's like, why would you ever play this? I don't even know why you'd ever play this card anyway. But
fair, okay.
Maybe it is a 5. Maybe it's okay. But 4 mana 4. I mean, again, that's classic. Like stuff's changed. This is 2018. I'll go 5.
Okay. This card was 4 mana.
Wow.
And this card.
Holy. And it was still bad.
This card is absolutely horrific. Yeah, it's very bad.
Would you play this for 0?
Yes, I would play it for 0. Yeah, I absolutely would.
Yeah, because it's 0 mana 5/6.
I think
what's the lowest it would have to cost for you to play it?
I think
or
2. I think 2
mana.
Maybe 3. Maybe 3. I think okay, so the idea for this card, I believe, is that you put yourself in a position where like you're at 9 mana. and then your opponent has to make a decision of like, do I play the big minion and then my opponent gets it, or do I delay my turn do I delay my big mana play a whole turn, which is actually a really big deal in Hearthstone, of course.
Right. So it's kind of like it's like a bad Lotheb in a way.
Yeah,
right.
That's a really good way of putting it. The issue is like you don't get the battle cry, which I think is a huge thing for a lot of minions. That's a huge thing
for Hearthstone. Yeah.
But the fact is, it's like a 4-mana 5/6 with stealth is like would be very good. So it's funny that like that line of text is so bad because people tried this, but yeah, it never got played. It's
I wonder how would this be in Yu-Gi-Oh? I think it would also be bad in Yu-Gi-Oh because especially if it's the first thing you play, and if you don't get the effects like on summon, like a lot of like your battle cry equivalents. Yeah, I think even if this was free in Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't think people would play this card. Unless the card you're copying is like a stun card to stop them from doing their thing, because like they're playing a stun deck. But even then, if they're playing a stun deck, then they don't care. So even in that instance, it's bad. But I'm thinking like the first card you would summon playing any particular deck, that doesn't benefit your strategy at all. So it doesn't like do anything for you, especially because it has to be even if you had the choice, because like Yu-Gi-Oh, obviously we can play on the opponent's turn. Even if this card says like you can choose when to copy it, even then that might be, ugh.
See,
it would say like when your opponent summons a monster, like this can become a copy of it, right? That's kind of like how it would be worded for Yu-Gi-Oh. Actually, if not when. So like if they did that and you got to pick when you could activate that ability, there might be like very fringe instances where that could be good, but for the most part, that would be terrible. So yeah, even if this was a 0-mana 5/6, Yu-Gi-Oh would probably not play this card. Gazlowe,
yep.
All right, it's a 3/6 that whenever you cast a 1-cost spell, add a random mech to your hand. Oh look, you tailor picked like a card that I would love.
This is from 2014,
when was this?
2015.
All right, so kind of early on then. This is like one of the
first
expansion.
expansion. First expansion.
First expansion. Oh, really? It's that early on. Okay. Well, that would be nice because I mean everyone was playing Mech Mage, right? So here you go. Here's Mech Mage support.
He was in the game when you were playing Mech Mage. If you were there for that,
I don't remember this card. Funny enough, so I literally think I played like base Hearthstone and did not even play an expansion.
Okay.
So this card does not look familiar to me in the slightest. You show me like Spider Tank, I know that.
Okay.
You show me like Mech Warper, I know that. I've never seen this card in my life. Okay, whenever you cast a 1-cost spell. I remember like it has to be a spell specifically too.
I will say during this set, they added the spare part mechanic, which is a 1-cost spell that gets added to your hand that just does like +1 health or +1 attack or something along those lines.
That sounds somewhat familiar.
Yeah,
that sounds like, I don't know if I played it, but I think I remember seeing that like in like when Hearthstone was like booming.
Yep.
That sounds familiar though. Okay, so there's a way to get a bunch of 1-cost spells
there is,
in like the mech archetype. And then that just converts into mechs. That seems pretty good. I want to say 4 mana for a 3/6 with like a decent effect seems good. But again, it's like also older Hearthstone. So like I could see this maybe costing 5. I think 3 is too good. I think 6 is too much. Yeah. I think 3 is too good. I think 6 is too much. So I'm in between 4 and 5. I'll go with 4.
Okay. Yeti is a 4-mana 4/5 at this time, right? Yeti's prominent.
Okay.
Do you think Yeti is better than this card?
Do I think Yeti is better than this card?
If this card was 4 mana.
If it's 4. Well, it's like you're trading an attack for a health, right? Because like in terms of this combined stats, it's equal. And this is a legendary. And again, like I feel like they push legendaries. And it has like a relevant effect for a deck. And I think if Mech Mage, which designers have an idea of what the good cards are when they release sets for the most part, I want to say. If they knew Mech Mage was good for the first set, and this is part of the expansion, I feel like there's an argument that they'd want to push this, that people would want to play it. So I think 4 is appropriate for it still. Yes.
I hate to tell you, it's 6 mana.
What the? No one's playing this for 6. Are you kidding me?
And you're right. No one played it for 6. It
was of course, because it's 6 mana. Why would you play it for 6?
Yeah.
Did they think it was too good?
Weird decision. So I think it. I think in older Hearthstone,
6 mana. Holy shit.
Value was like something they were very scared for. I feel like they were constantly worried about like if a card gave you a lot of cards, like people might be like annoyed from it. So this card was just so weak.
Wow.
It could have had like 3 more health.
Would you play for 5?
During Goblins versus Gnomes. That's tough. I don't know. Maybe like,
I think it has to be 4 to be playable, honestly.
The problem, okay, so like the reason I brought up the Yeti thing is because a 4-mana 4/5 is actually a really big deal. Because at 4 attack, that meant priests could not deal with it. because Priest doesn't have an answer to 4 attack minions. And that's why it's very relevant. That's why the Yeti was so fucking good, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
So Gazlowe being at 3 does matter because of the fact that then Priest has an answer to it.
Because they have that Shadow Word card, right?
Yeah. The Yetis were fucking so annoying for Priest. That's why Priest was actually considered very bad for very long. Like they could not answer that card. I think Gazlowe at 5 would be okay. I just feel like the random mech is not good enough. And that's probably the problem, is like there's too many mechs that just don't synergize, or they're too expensive, and then like your hand gets clogged. It's probably just never worth it. Maybe at 4. This one came out literally this expansion, 2025.
Oh, really? So this is brand new. Scavenging Flytrap. After a minion dies, gain its attack. It's a 2/7. Interesting. Any minion, right? So that counts your opponents?
Yep, any minion.
So you can slap this down and then just have it sit there, or protect it with like a taunt or something and just try to let it get big. 7 health is kind of a lot.
It is a big plant.
You can also kill your own stuff to just like boost it up potentially.
Yes, that is true.
What would you pay for? Because like on its own, it doesn't really do anything. Like you need to have like combo potential with it. So like how cheap would it have to be for you to want to play this? But 2/7? Ooh. So kind of a big boy.
It is a big boy. This is before you answer the question. See, this is an interesting conversation because this card snowballs very, very hard.
Sure.
Right. Depending on what the board state is. So like, how much mana would you want to print this so it doesn't just snowball the game out of its mind? Right. Like
it's so funny because like in Yu-Gi-Oh, a card like this is just so bad.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
It's so hard for us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because like we just like combat's just a means to win the game in Yu-Gi-Oh most of the time. Like, yeah, sometimes you get some pluses like killing stuff, but for the most part, like just like we don't care about stats on things. As long as it adds up to 8,000, that's like all we care about for the most part. So it's like really hard to evaluate a card like this. Like, yeah, I can see the snowballing potential, but it's also 2025. So like they could, depending on how crazy the game is, and you've said it's every card game, right? It speeds up just over time because it's just power creep. That's how it works. So maybe they could play this like super cheap and it's like, okay.
Do you think this card's good?
I feel like you said, it has the ability to snowball, but I feel like you're kind of like, you could just do way better things than care about this. So I don't know. I could be wrong. I feel like if this is expensive, like no one plays it. But it could also just snowball really hard. So maybe that's like they have to make it more expensive. Maybe like I'm kind of like it's just like a safe number. I kind of like 4 mana.
Okay, 4 mana.
But 4 mana seems kind of expensive.
Okay.
Maybe, well, for like modern Hearthstone, right? Like if this were older Hearthstone, I might go higher. But like maybe there's a world that's even 3. 3 mana for a 2/7. That seems like super push though. I'll go 4. 4 is like my safe number. We'll go 4.
4 mana. Okay. Are you ready for this? This card in the year 2025 is 7 mana.
7 mana? What the fuck?
So the only thing
crazy.
The only thing I can think of is either A, they don't want this to be pushed because like I said, it snowballs and it makes for like a really non-game. Because if you just can't answer this, the game's over. Which I don't think is like inherently a problem in 2025 Hearthstone. I don't think that's a really big thing. I think the bigger concern for this card was Evolve Shaman. They want 7 drops to be like, you want some low rolls. I'm going to use quotations here for evolving to a 7 drop. Which,
right.
Unironically, I think they do design cards at specific mana costs if they're going to print Evolve, so that not every card in the 7 drop pool is just insane. Because they have to think about randomness effects, which is extremely interesting. But yeah, that's card 7 mana.
Please tell me this card's unplayable.
It's unplayable. I've never seen it get played. I've never seen it.
Good.
Okay, what's your next one?
All right, we're doing good so far. Ice Howl. This is another legendary with charge, not rush. Wait, but it can't attack heroes. What the fuck's the point then? It's rush. It's the same thing.
Okay.
This card has to be old, right?
It is old. It's from the Grand Tournament. Rush was not introduced until the Witchwood in 2017.
Oh, okay. So like if they errated this, they would just say it has rush, right?
Yeah. Just be rush.
Okay. Legendary neutral. That's just a 10/10 with rush. That's it. That's not even that good.
That's it.
This thing's got to be expensive though, because it's a 10/10. When was this released?
2015.
Oh, this is old.
This is old.
This probably costs like 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a 10 mana 10/10 with rush.
Okay.
It could be 9. Like maybe there's a world where it's like 9 because it's like a legendary. So it's like, oh, you get like a slightly high cost like rush minion at 9. But
so this card in particular is really interesting because rush, I would consider during the year of the Grand Tournament when this came out, would be a premium keyword. Like that is a very good keyword.
Really?
Yeah. Rush fundamentally changed Hearthstone, like for the rest of its
Sure, of course.
lifespan, right? So like this being the one of the few cards that had Rush is obviously like a really important mechanic, and they probably tested that and saw how good it was. The other thing about it is you could silence this, and even though like,
and then it can attack heroes.
And then the turn that you like the turn after you play, like you could silence it and then do 10 damage after you kill the minion. So there is that line. And again, Grand Tournament, pretty weak expansion overall, but like there's a couple like things you can do in it.
It's so old Hearthstone though. Like I don't know if they were ready to print like 7 mana 10/10s that. Well, I mean, I say that and you're probably laughing because it probably costs 7. But I don't know. I feel like older Hearthstone, they were more conservative with stuff like this.
The reverse just happened to you, just for the record. The Scavenging Flytrap is 7 mana in 2025. Just so.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But Evolve didn't exist at this point, right? So they didn't have to worry about it in that sense. I'll go 10. I really want to go 9 though. I want to go 9, but I think it's 10.
It actually was 9. It actually was. No. So I meant.
I should have went with my gut.
Do you think this card was playable?
No, it seems kind of bad.
You were correct. It was
okay, good. Like it's cute, but it's like if you roll this off a random effect, sure, it's good. But like I don't think you'd ever dedicate a deck slot to this unless there's some like broken combo with it. Goldshire Gnoll is a 5/4 with Rush. Costs 1 less for each other card in your hand. Ooh,
this is 2021. Very fun card.
2021. So few years old at the time of filming this. Mana cheating is good. For each other card in your hand. You guys have no issues getting cards in hand. So you could make this, oh man, 2021. How much would this have to cost? Let me think about this. How many cards do you start with in your opening hand?
If you're going first, you have 4.
4.
Okay, second, so you have 5.
Let's just assume 4. So if this costs 4 in your opening hand, that means you could play it on turn 1. That seems OP. So it's probably not 4. Okay. If it's 5, it's a 2-drop. You can also just pass and not do anything. So then you draw. If it's 5, it still costs 1. You have an extra card in your hand. But there's this weird dynamic with this card because it's like if you're playing it, you obviously want to get it as cheap as possible. But if you don't have a lot of cards in your hand, then that makes this card like way worse. Or is Hearthstone in a place where it's like a fairly statted card, and it's like if you get the free bonus, that's like incentive on top because you're still playing a 5/4 with Rush. So like maybe it costs. That's assuming this card's playable. Like this card could be bad for all I know. But if I've learned anything from you, most of the time when stuff has like a reduction effect and it has like a decent keyword and decent stats, it's like usually playable.
I would agree with that.
So I want to say it's playable. I don't know how good it is relatively, but I think it's playable at the very least. If it costs 6 and it's in your opening hand, then that means it would cost 3 because it's each other card. The next turn you draw a card, it costs 2. You play a 2-mana 5/4 on turn 2. That seems really fucking good. So I'm trying to think of like what point playing like this card on like the early turns is like too good.
Yeah, I feel you.
Because like I feel like a 2/5/4 with Rush is crazy. I'm gonna go with 7.
Okay.
And I feel like if they want to push this card, I think it would cost 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 6. I think 7 might be where it's at though, because 7 seems like, oh, you said 2021 though.
2021.
6. I'm gonna stick with 7. There's like cheap draw cards too, so like maybe I'm gonna go with 7. I think 7's
okay. This card is actually 10 mana.
Whoa. Okay.
And I think based on
still see play.
Yes, it was a very good card. I think.
Wow. Even at 10.
You're forgetting 2 things. 1, Warlock has tap. So on turn 2, you could tap, draw an extra card for like not spending a resource. All of a sudden, this becomes a lot cheaper, and you're playing this consistently on turn 3, turn 4.
Sure.
The other really important thing here, and I kind of put the cards in specific order here, is evolving. Evolving this card meant that you're getting another 10 drop.
For is that how Evolve works at 10?
So they changed mechanic. Obviously, you didn't know that, but even if there's 11 a cost minion, like you'd get like an 8/8 on average. But the way it works now is like if you attack into something and then I evolve this and there's nothing above 10, you just get another 10 drop. You could get the same one, but you get another 10 drop. So what would happen is that you would play Goldshire Gnoll, you would kill something, and then you evolve it. And then all of a sudden that would become kind of a problem. This card, shockingly, got nerfed. It was 11 mana for a little bit. And then
oh my God.
When it rotated back to wild, it went back to 10. The other thing I'm not even mentioning is that adding cards to your hand is another way of reducing this.
Right.
And there are cards that are like, for 1 card, you can add 3 for your hand. And then all of a sudden this becomes cheaper.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, this card, I think when you were doing it, you're only thinking about like your natural draw order, which is fair. But yeah, this card at 10 was very good, very playable.
It's crazy though, at 10, it was still playable. Crypt Keeper. This is a 4/6 with taunt and costs 1 less for each armor you have. Oh boy, here we go again. Armor's different than cards, though, to be fair. There's only a few
Yes.
decks that I feel like really use. It's like what? Druid, Warrior. That's kind of it.
That's pretty much it. This is a Druid card too.
Oh, yeah. We've seen a lot of neutral stuff, so I think I was just assuming everything was neutral. Okay, so it's Druid, so it's broken. So that means it probably costs like 2 in that case. No, I'm just kidding.
For this video, by the way, I was legitimately thinking of just only putting Druid cards and just seeing.
You honestly should just do a video where I just review Druid cards, like, because then they're all broken, right? Because then like they're all broken. Okay, so Druid specifically, Druid can't get as much armor as Warrior, but it can get a decent amount from what I recall. The hero power gives it 1. So like at minimum turn 2, you could just hero power and reduce the cost of this by 1. There's a few other things, if I recall, that give Druid like some amount of armor. I don't think it's like crazy though.
There's
like armor is a lot different than cards though.
I would 100% agree with that. Like just outright, I'm telling you right now, the Gnoll is a better card. But
sure.
I will say for like this particular set and a couple of the sets beforehand, like Druid did get armor cards. Like there are cards that allow you to get a decent amount of armor. I wouldn't say like you're ripping this on turn 1 though. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you could discount this quite a bit.
Maybe this is more in the camp what I was thinking with the Gnoll. Like maybe this is like a 6 or a 7. Because then if you have like 3 armor, it becomes a 4-mana 4/6, and like that's with taunt, and like that's kind of decent. So sure, I'll go 7 on this one. I think they generally, these like cost 1 less effects, they have to go a bit higher. So I'll go 7.
Okay, you're very close. This is 8. But
okay, I think that's fair too. I think 8's, I was gonna say like 8 is also on my radar. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I honestly in hindsight, I don't think I should have showed you this one because I think this one's actually like unique to see the rest of the pool for them. The rest of the pool of cards to actually see like what it would cost.
To be fair, I was closer with this than the Gnoll.
Yeah,
so
that is true. That is true. Okay. All right. I'm really curious to see what you think about this one.
Cloak of Shadows. This is a rogue epic that says give your hero stealth until your next turn. Okay. So you can still take damage though from like AoEs and stuff, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna say it interacts exactly how it would with a minion. Exactly.
Right. So if there's like a random effect that can still hit you.
Yes.
It's just like you can't be targeted. You can't be attacked either, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's no ice block. I'll say that.
It's not ice block.
Ice block is what, 3?
Ice block is 3.
Would I play 3 for this? For your rogue? It sets up combo potentially because you can play this and then start doing other stuff and then pass and the next turn like maybe keep going. It's not as good as ice block though, so maybe it's cheaper. But maybe they're worried because of stealth that it's like since you can like you have agency over it where ice block your opponent has to proc it. Maybe there's an argument that this is like slightly better in a way. So like maybe it costs 4 and maybe because of that like no one plays it because it's way too expensive.
Okay.
I could see that. It's worse ice block, but you have like agency over it. Okay. So I want to say it's 3, but I feel like they would give this like when was this printed?
This is 2020.
Okay, so like mid Hearthstone.
Do you think this card's good?
Do I think this? What an interesting question. I feel like if there's some sort of like rogue combo deck that you like do a bunch of shit, Cloak of Shadows yourself, and then next turn you do like more shit and like one shot your opponent, and like this is like a key card of that deck, then maybe. I don't feel like you would just throw this in any deck like Ice Block. I'll go with 3. I really want to go 4, but I'll go 3.
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna give you the answer, the theoretical point, regardless here, because this card was 3 mana, but then they nerfed it to 4. And
wow, that's crazy.
Not only, so one of the reasons.
So they nerfed it though. They nerfed it.
So one of the reasons why this card was nerfed was because well, it's kind of unfun.
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, can't do anything. Great.
Like I said with Ice Block, like you can kind of counter it. I just looked through the entire collection while you were thinking about this card. There is not a single card that interacts with this. Like you cannot remove stealth from your opponent. So unless you have like a rag that can hit him and kill him, or you have like a decent amount of damage that can like randomly hit this person,
or some AoE that damages the hero too.
You just can't interact with your opponent. There's nothing you can do. This card was so unfun to play against. It's also the deck, because what would happen is Rogue would queue up like a weapon deck. They would buff the shit out of it. They would swing, and then they would play Cloak of Shadows. Cloak of Shadows comes out, and then they would do it again the following turn. They'd swing, and they would do it again. The other problem with Cloak of Shadows is, compared to Ice Block needs to be triggered by you as you're like the opponent of the mage. Rogue is proactive. So Rogue can decide to play the cloak whenever they want to. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just not playing the game here. And
so I was right about the proactivity aspect of it.
Yeah. This card was very good. Okay. Very, very strong card for Rogue. It didn't start off super good, but as soon as they got like a decent weapon build, that's when it became kind of a problem.
Rigged Faire Game. This is a secret. If you didn't take any damage during your opponent's turn, draw 3 cards. Oh my god, I know exactly why you're showing this to me. Draw 3 cards. It's so tempting. It's so tempting. But if you didn't take any damage during your opponent's turn, any damage, that's just your hero, right? Like your minions can take damage.
Yeah, just your hero.
Yeah, because it says you. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because that's a big difference if it's one or the other.
I would agree.
Ooh, man. Mighty tempting. Mighty tempting. I feel like, as much as I want this card to be good, like, probably not. When was this released?
Same expansion as Cloak, 2020.
So 2020. So it's newer. Let me think about this. Okay. I feel like the longer the game goes on, the worse this card gets. Granted, you guys have summoning sickness, but the game is so much faster now. I feel like you need this card to be cheap, because your best chance of this like resolving is if you play it early and your opponent just like doesn't go at your face. Because later on, I feel like it's just like there's too much going on that I feel like it's very hard to resolve this. Not that it's impossible, but I feel like it's just statistically unlikely that that's going to be the case. I'm going to go with, it is 3 cards. You have 3 mana, draw 2 in your game, right?
Yeah, that's
an old card. Yeah. 3 mana, draw 2. This is 3. If this was 3, you have to go through an extra step that's out of your control to get an extra card. Would that still be 3? I want to say no. I feel like that's not worth it. So I think it's lower. 2 mana, don't take damage, draw 3. Is that worth it? It's better, but I still feel like your guys' card draw in your game is so good that that's like not worth it. If this is 1 mana, draw 3, how crazy does this get? Turn 1, you play this. Your opponent goes turn 1. They don't attack you because they don't have anything and you have summoning sickness. And then you get to draw 3. That seems pretty fucking good. But you did say there's 1 mana cards that lets you get 3 cards in your hand earlier when you talked about the Gnoll.
So I'm going to just like reiterate on that. Like that means like randomly generated cards, right? Again, this is drawing from your deck.
Sure. You're trying to backpedal now. I get it.
No. I'm just clarifying. I think the average card in your deck is better than something you're randomly generating.
I feel like unless this card is 1 or 0, like why would you play this when you could just play like actual card draw that isn't relying on the opponent? Because anytime you're like relying on your opponent to do anything, that has to be a huge incentive to like pay off. In my mind, this should cost 1, but it probably costs like 2 or 3, and no one plays it. So do I go with my gut thinking of what it should cost, or do I go with my gut on what I think the developers costed it at? You know what? I'm gonna take a gamble here. I'm gonna say this costs 1.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay, so you know it's funny, Simo. Here's the problem: is that secrets all have to cost the same mana, no matter what they do.
Oh, do they? Okay.
So how much mana is Ice Flock?
It's 3, so this has to cost 3. Oh my god, that's horrible. Why would you play this at 3? That's so shit.
Hold on. Okay, here's the problem. Or here. I guess this is like the better part about this card is that secrets you have to play around them, right? So there's a chance that your opponent just says like, oh, this is not Reg Faire Game. I'm going to play for a different secret, and they don't hit your face. And then all of a sudden you draw 3 cards. There is a chance also that like you just play this and your opponent just has no damage and they want to do something that, makes their game plan go forward. They don't care about you drawing 3 cards. So all of a sudden you're drawing 3 cards. This card actually did see play.
It's interesting because it creates this weird dynamic where if your opponent has a minion or like multiple minions, right? If they would normally trade into your board, if there's a secret up, they have to almost like check or like consider checking for the secret and going face instead. And that might actually save one of your minions in a way. Yeah. Because of like the mind game. Unless you don't care about your opponent drawing 3, which again, you guys have a lot of card draw in your game. So maybe you don't. But like, it's interesting thinking about it from that perspective, that there's this like weird mind game to it.
See, and that's why I think like it's fine at 3 mana because of that. Like remember like in your video I was talking about like I actually think secrets are really interesting because they add like this mini game to it. This doesn't make me feel bad if my opponent draws 3 cards because you're just not negating my minion entirely like Objection does. This is like a fun little puzzle. It's like, yeah, I could go face and stop them from drawing 3 cards, or I can kill their minion. And then that's the game that like makes secrets enjoyable in my opinion. So
let me ask a question.
Go for it.
I should have asked this before, honestly, in my evaluation. Let's say you play the secret on 3. Okay. If your opponent attacks and like you take damage, does the secret go away or does it just eventually proc?
It will eventually proc. It doesn't go away. The secret.
So it stays permanently. Okay, in my mind, I thought it was like all or nothing, where it's like that's the only turn. So the fact it stays is really interesting. Okay, I should have probably asked that before, to be honest. That's a lot better. Why does this look like a Bulbasaur? Rocket Hopper. This is a Shaman 10/10 with Rush and Overload 4. Overload 4. That's when you just like it locks out 4 mana crystals for next turn, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So if it has Overload, I'm tempted to think it's cheaper because obviously this is similar to the one thing. What is it? The Ice Howl.
Yep.
It's Ice Howl for Shaman. Oh man, what does this cost? It has Rush.
It has Rush.
Is this like 6? Because like it could cost 6, right? Because then it's like a 10 mana 10/10 with Rush.
Well, okay, let's start off with this. Would a 5 mana 10/10 with no text get played? In
your game, probably, to be honest, because it has Rush. It's not like it has no text. So it can actually like immediately combat the board.
Yeah. So if you think a 5 mana 10/10 with no text is getting played, I think that's a good way to start.
Sure.
Go from there.
Yeah. Because like if I'm going based off the Ice Howl, then that costs 9. So 9 minus 4 is 5.
This card's from 2024, by the way.
Oh, so this is like new. 5 mana. Okay, I'm trying to think about this. 5 mana 10/10. You can slam it down. You can like immediately check something on the board. If you play this on 5, your next turn will be 6. And then you're overloaded for 4. So you can only play 2 mana's worth of stuff. So you're basically like sort of skipping your turn to get this guy out onto the board.
Yeah, you can
say that. It immediately takes something out, most likely. It can't go face. If you're playing this on 5 mana things are like 4, 5, 5, 6. So like you're kind of losing half your health to this thing. It's an interesting card.
That's why I thought I would show it to you. Especially because you brought up like you literally said when you're looking at Ice Howl, like 5 mana 10/10 would go crazy.
But it's also 2024, and I feel like the game's a lot faster than when Ice Howl was printed. So there's like a world where this could cost like 7 or like 3 rather.
Okay.
So it's like a 3 mana 10/10 with Overload 4. So you literally skip your whole next turn if you play this. If you played it like on curve, which that would probably be nuts. So maybe that's like too good. This thing's gonna at least take out 2, maybe 3 things if it goes unchecked, just because it has 10/10. It's newer Hearthstone though. Power level's higher, generally speaking. I'll go 5. I'll go 5.
5? 5 is correct. 5 is correct.
Wow, nice.
It is a 5 mana 10/10.
Does it see play?
You tell me.
I don't think hit you with that one.
Do you think it's play? This one's actually really interesting to show someone who doesn't know how like meta Hearthstone, because this is like I talk about a CGB a lot. I was like, what is the stat line legitimately like? Would a 3 mana 20/20 get played in Magic the Gathering? Like that is such an interesting thought.
We have this talk. We have this talk in Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. It's like if they printed an 8,000 attack vanilla. So basically, if you summoned it and attack, you killed your opponent. Would that see play? And I think the argument is like no, which is really funny because it's like that's still just like not good.
See,
enough.
that's insane because you have like charge and shit like on each minion.
Well, yeah, but it's like we also just have like infinite ways to like kill stuff. So like it like
sure
maybe it's not good, but obviously from a design perspective, it's terrible. But it's like, it's crazy to think that even if they printed something like that, it probably still wouldn't see play because it's just like, it would be considered too slow, essentially.
That's mental.
Yeah.
If you print,
I think people can fight about that in the comments, but I genuinely think they could print that and it would see like maybe some dumb like rogue decks would play it, but I do not think that would be like a meta strategy. And I could be wrong, and I'll happily be wrong, but there's just way too much shit going on that's good in our game. I think it could see play. I think because then like you attack into a couple things and then evolve it and you get like a random 6 drop. Like that doesn't seem bad. That doesn't seem bad.
I don't think I've seen this card go played once.
Well, we tried.
So it's interesting.
He's just so cute. I want to give him a chance.
It's a cool card. I think the card is like on the verge of playable. I do think it's not because it's a 5 mana 10/10 with Rush. The overload is just too much. Like it's too much.
Yeah, because like I said, you're skipping a turn basically. Yeah.
So because of that reason, it's like it's not playable. Now, this card is the reverse of Venus Flytrap because if you evolve into this, you're stoked. and there's a bunch of ways of generating it from like to randomly get on the board, and that feels fantastic. And
this is definitely a high roll for Evolve. Yeah,
and that's where I think, again, this card can exist and be playable if you want in your deck, but I think they just made this because of Evolve, like just to get those.
Interesting, because it's in Shaman. So I was thinking the inverse. Okay, sure, that makes sense. Typhoon. Speaking of Shaman cards, we have lots of Typhoons in Yu-Gi-Oh. Each minion gets shuffled into a random player's deck. This would never happen in Yu-Gi-Oh. This is not our type of Typhoon. This card seems very good, though, I will say. Because this would play around... This plays around stealth, correct?
Yep.
So it plays around like a lot of... like we have stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh where it's like shuffle stuff into the deck. Like not into random decks, but... those types of effects are usually very good because they bypass all like the targeting protection, the destruction protection, all that sort of stuff. So I think this card's probably very good. I gotta think about your board wipes. I think Warlock has a board wipe, right? It's like it kills everything for like 8. I don't know if that still like exists, but
that is still in the game. Same mana, yeah.
That's still in the game. Okay. So that kills everything. This is the same sort of effect, but it's shuffling everything into the deck. When was this printed?
2025. This expansion.
Oh, so like this was just like the newest expansion they printed this?
Yeah. This expansion.
Cool. Okay. I mean, if Twisting Nether is 8, I don't see why this couldn't also be 8. Could be cheaper because it doesn't kill them. It shuffles them into the deck. But that also like presents another interesting thing because then you could also like, there's a world you give your opponent bad stuff and you get good stuff. And you're like artificially making their deck worse because then they just have bad draws. The reverse can also happen though, unless you like try to build around it to an extent, but you don't really have any control over it. I still think this card's very good. Like you're probably just trying to play this when you have no board just to like completely wipe your opponent. And even if you get the stuff, like who fucking cares? So it's probably... the Shaman doesn't really have ramp, do they?
They do not.
I want to say then, but Twisting Nether was like first set Hearthstone. So maybe we're at the point we need cheaper. Flame Strike was 7.
Flame Strike was 7.
Right? And that wasn't a full clear, but it may as well have been a full clear.
It sure felt like that in Classic Hearthstone. So yeah,
that's how I felt when I played it. Yeah.
And it was one-sided. If you get this right, I'll be shocked. Like this is such a peculiar card in Hearthstone. Like it's so weird. It's
funny because like in Yu-Gi-Oh, if like obviously Yu-Gi-Oh everything's free, right? If they literally made this in Yu-Gi-Oh, this would honestly see a lot of play because it'd be free because that's a big difference, right? Yeah. Because we have Twisting Nether in our game, but it costs 0. And that card's legal at 3. So we also have destroy all of your opponent's stuff, not even just yours, but only your opponent's, and that's also legal at 3. So
interesting.
That's how crazy our game is. That's legal. If it's based on, I'm trying to use like Twisting Nether as like an anchor here.
Okay,
but that was also such an old card.
I'll tell you in the Great Dark Beyond, because Twisting Nether is not in standard. They printed a card called Black Hole, which says 8 mana, destroy all minions except demons.
Oh, okay. So that's also 8.
That's also 8. Just to give you some kind of board clear.
I'll say it's 8. It's to me, it's equivalent. Honestly, I think it's better in some ways. So I'll say it's 8.
All right. Are you ready for this? This card is 10 mana. And
honestly, I can see it. I can see that costing that much.
So you think this card is good at 10 mana?
It's a lot more expensive than 8. I'm not gonna lie, but it's 10. When I play this at 10. You said Hearthstone's a lot faster now. You might not even get the point to play this. It's such a good card, but the cost might just kill it because it might just be too slow.
It's so interesting that you think this card's good. It's actually insane. So,
is it bad? Give me some context.
Never fucking seen this card get played in my life.
That's crazy.
10 mana.
Do you think it would be played if it was 8?
No.
It would really?
For Shaman, it would have to be like 6. Maybe 7 you can get away. So here's the thing. I probably showed you this card at some point. There's a card that Priest got in 2017, which is called Psychic Stream. Maybe the best board clear we've ever seen in the game, which is all minions get shuffled into your opponent's deck. That card is single-handedly, like I said, probably the best board clear we've ever seen. It is so powerful. The fact that this is 10 and it potentially has
how much did Psychic Stream cost?
7 mana.
Oh, that was 7. Oh, geez.
7 mana.
Okay.
So again, this is like 8 years later, 7 years later. It has potentially a downside because, yeah, like maybe you do want a specific minion to go in your deck, but you also don't want like random shitters in your deck. Because like the great thing about Psychic Scream was if Shaman played a bunch of tokens, like 1/1s, and you shuffle them into your deck, then they could draw them and like their whole draw is just ruined because now they're drawing those like awful cards. So that could happen to you. Why is this 10 mana? Like I have literally no idea. It's not like Shaman's foreign to like board clears. They've had a ton over the years. It just does not make any sense. This card's unplayable. Now, sometimes when they do this, it's almost like there's a vision that they have with upcoming sets. Because you don't remember when they design cards, like, and I'm sure Konami does this, like they're like
they
a year
design
ahead.
it like 2 years ahead of time.
So there's maybe like a play testing that they did where they're like, okay, like this actually might be really good with this particular combo. So it's like pre-nerf it doesn't get. Yeah. So like no idea. What at the current moment, unplayable might be one of the worst cards I've ever seen. Like unironically.
That's so crazy. So like obviously in Yu-Gi-Oh this wouldn't work because like it's a physical game and like you have like different color sleeves and stuff. So like that's another problem. But well, how does that work actually? So like if you guys have different digital sleeves, does it like show you that like their card is like the next card you're going to draw, or does it just still look the same? Like
they translate it to your card back. Like I go your saying.
Okay,
like
I was curious if it would be interesting if you could see, because like obviously there's an issue with like shuffling because then it's like you see the card, right? But like since it's digital and it could all be randomized on like automate, it'd be funny if you could know the next card you're going to draw is like one of the things. Anyway,
I've never considered that. You're actually right.
Like So it's interesting to think of it that way. But let's assume let's assume this card was legal in Yu-Gi-Oh! Both players had like the same card back, so like that wouldn't be an issue. It's interesting because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has such little like card draw, and most of it's like tutoring stuff from the deck, that this gets around so many different types of protection effects. And then on top of that, like even if you get the shit end of the stick and get like the bad stuff shuffled into your deck, as long as you don't draw it like for 1 or 2 turns, the game's probably going to end by that point. Right? Like the games in Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't really go past like, turn 3, 4, 5, 6. And so as a result of that, yeah, there might be the instances where like you get unlucky and you draw one of those bad cards. But I think statistically speaking, it would be like a 1 in, 20 or 30, however many cards are left in the deck. I think you would still run that risk just to play this card. And because of how powerful it is by dodging so many different types of effects. Like I can think of like a million different cards that are a pain in the ass to deal with that this card outs instantly. Obviously it costs 0 for us, so it's a bit different. But this card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be like insane. I think this card would see a ton of play. Hemet?
Yep.
Hemet Jungle Hunter. This is a 6/6 battle card. Destroy all cards in your deck that cost 3 or less. Whoa. Okay. Questions immediately.
Sure.
Does this trigger death rattles, or does death have to be on the field?
No. They have to be on the field.
That would be broken as fuck.
Any interaction that is like death rattle, or like if this is destroyed while it's on board, like it will not proc it. This, you can just think of this as like going through your deck, removing every card that costs 3 or less, and just putting it to the side. No mechanical difference.
Sure. So this would be the equivalent in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of like banish all level 3 or lower monsters from your deck face down. Because it's like, it wouldn't, granted yours says destroy, but if you're assuming like it ignores all sort of effects, I think that's like how this card would work.
I would agree. There are like very niche circumstances. Like for instance, Warlock has a card that's like, when it's destroyed, draw 2 cards. So like in that particular card, then it would be a little different. I think that card costs 4 mana though, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, like there are very niche things. But the way you can evaluate this, the way you want to guess this is like literally what you just described. Just banish.
Right, and the whole point of this, I'm imagining, is that you're trying to like set up some sort of like. There's 2 ways I see this. You're either trying to thin your deck of like all the bad cards so that like you're always drawing good stuff, or there's some sort of combo that you're like wanting to do this that like sets up for this.
Yep.
So like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like I said, I think it would be like banish all level 3 or lower face down, which would be insane because then all of a sudden you have like a very thin deck and you're always drawing like insane cards potentially. Because like you could possibly like half the size of your deck, maybe even more. And then it's like, oh, yeah, you can do some like crazy stuff. So I don't know if they'd ever have a card like this in Yu-Gi-Oh. Plus like having to automate it. Imagine like every time you play this in Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to pick up your deck and literally find every level 3 or lower monster to like that would just take forever. So they would never print something like this.
Fair.
This is definitely a digital only card, but it's fun. It's fun. I kind of just want to say it's 6 just for the, all the 6s, but I feel like it's like there's niche. I don't think every deck's playing this. I think there's like a niche use for this, or a couple niche uses for it.
Okay.
Would it cost 5? When was this printed? When was this printed?
This is 2017.
Oh, so like pretty early on, actually. Maybe it is a 6/6 then. Could be a 5. It's 5 or 6, I feel like. I'll go with 6 for the flavor. 6 mana 6/6.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It was a 6 mana 6/6.
Yay!
You could I'm not gonna ask. You could probably imagine this card was played in very specific decks, and you're right.
Yeah, it just seems like a degenerate combo enabler in some way.
There were matchups where literally it was like finding this card. That's all that mattered. Because then your deck, you're like you'd find the consistent draw. Like this is probably playable in Yu-Gi-Oh! In some circumstances if it was actually like a real card. And you'd have to go through the
100%.
semantics.
100%.
So like same idea. Like getting rid of all the cards you don't want just for this is like fantastic. It was played throughout its entire time in standard. I'm surprised they didn't nerf it, but Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun card, unless you were the one going against the combo. Here is your last. I don't even know if there's a card like this in Yu-Gi-Oh. I doubt it because it's physical, but here you go.
Well, I mean, you know, Typhoon, I was able to make work of it. We'll see. Azalina Soulthief, cool name, cool art. 3/3 battle cry. Replace your hand with a copy of your. No, this card would not exist in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I figured. Okay.
That would be sick if you could, because you told me there's that other card too, where you like put your hand aside and draw like a new hand or whatever. So that card would immediately be banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! That would be unbelievable.
Yep.
Place your hand with a copy of your opponent's on battle cry. This has to be good, right? Because if you have like no hand and your opponent has like 8 cards, you just get 8 cards, right?
That's how it
works. That
works.
seems broken. That seems insane. Okay. What does this cost is the question. It's a legendary, so I mean they could push it. Surely like they know you going like +8 has to like not be okay. Because you could just like dump out your hand early, and then if your opponent's on like Warlock and they just like keep like drawing, and then you play this, and then it's like, oh, great. And granted, it's like the cards may not synergize with your deck, but even then, it doesn't matter because you just like drew 8 cards. So that seems insane. And you're over here just laughing like this card sucks. Like this card's terrible.
I'm not. Listen, I won't tell you how good it is until after you guess or the mana costs. But I legitimately think this might be one of my favorite cards of all time. I think it's so fun to play with. Like it is such a unique design. I wish it was in the core stuff for standard. Like it's
what would this cost? What would this cost? Let me think about this. You go first. You said 5 cards going second. 6, 7, tap, draw 8. That's turn 2. Draw, tap, turn 3. You're at like 10 cards already. If your opponent doesn't like do anything, you just get to like +10. That seems so broken. That seems so good. That seems so, because your opponent's ideally your opponent's playing good cards, right? And obviously they may not all synergize, but like with what your game plan is. But like they're obviously playing good cards because they're trying to beat you. So like that could just be good enough. This has to cost something like not ridiculous, but it can't be like a low cost card. At what point does this become like okay? Turn 5 maybe? I'm in between like 5 and 6 on this one, I think. Okay. Because I think if this is too cheap, if you go like Azalina, steal your opponent's hand, and you have like, if it costs 3 and you have like 7 mana left on turn 10, and then you get to play stuff too, that just seems really good. So I think it has to be like higher costed. I want to say 5 or 6. I do think there's a point where it becomes really bad if it's too expensive though. But I think like they want this, like I think they want people to play with a card like this. I don't know, I feel like 5 is like a nice safe spot for this card.
Okay, you're going with 5?
I'll go with 5. I'm gonna go with 5.
Okay, this card was 7 mana.
That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me. This seems to be like a very good effect.
So you're, as far as I'm aware, you're thinking through the lens of like or aggro, where it's like you kind of just get rid of all your cards. You hopefully just top deck Azalina, or you have her in hand and then you drop her, and then it's like you have a bunch of more resources. I'm assuming that is not where she was played.
Okay,
that is a line that probably I think at 7 because she was so expensive. I mean I think she was played in some kind of those decks, but the main deck she was in,
it's expensive though for that.
Was this? I don't know if I've shown you this combo either, but the whole point of this deck is basically King Togwaggle. What it would do is it would swap your opponent's deck with yours. Like imagine like I picked up my deck and I gave it to you, and then you gave me your deck.
Sure.
But in turn with that, you got something called King's Ransom, which said swap decks with your opponent. So for 5 mana. You could get your deck back. You just have to spend the mana cost for it. But here's the thing. Druid exists. With Druid, you could discount King Togwaggle and you can discount your Azalina. So in one turn, you would empty your deck or whatever it may happen to be. Like, I don't know, the milling of your own deck would have happened for a while. You'd play King Togwaggle, you'd play Azalina, you would get the King's Ransom in your hand, which meant if your opponent played the King's Ransom, you would just play it back. And then they don't have a deck anymore. That was a very, very competitive deck for a very long time. That was a very good deck. It was so fun to play that shit. I loved it so much. I missed this card. Wish it was cheaper, and I hope they rotated the standard because it was very, very fun. That was
what we've learned here is that it all goes back to Druid being broken.
Yeah, 100%. Druid's caused a lot of problems for Hearthstone.
I can tell.
It's also very interesting because one of the consequences for buffing a card like this, because I don't know at 7 mana if this is playable in current Hearthstone. It might be. You can make the case for it. But if they buff it, Wild becomes super degenerate the cheaper this card becomes. So they have to be very scared of it. But yeah, that was every card. This was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
This was fun. Yeah, this is a cool take on her. This is a cool take. I like it.
Shout out to one of my viewers who gave me this idea. I forget who it was, but you know who it is.
Shout out to Typhoon. Craziest board wipe I've ever seen.